Hey everybody, today we are having our first podcast.
We are going to talk about finding yourself in your 20s, something that we are in the chaos of figuring out at the moment. What everyone has to go through. Probably one of the biggest moments in your life. I feel like 18 to 30s, that's like a big timeline where everyone's just really trying to figure out who they are as people and what they like to do.
Yes.
and all that good stuff.
That is the time where we actually get self-conscious and try to figure out how do we fit in, or how do we not fit in. Matter of fact, how do we not fit in to the society? First question for me is actually, should we fit in or should we not fit in?
I feel like that's, what do you mean by fitting in? Because for me, when it comes to fitting in, I want to of course be part of a community. Who doesn't want to be part of a community and just have those type of social groups, of course. But of course you want to be able to fully be yourself, and finding a group when you can fully be yourself, isn't that technically fitting in?
Yeah, I think so too.
So it really depends on who you are as a person and who you're able to surround yourself with.
That is true. That is so true. And there's a lot of concept of how everybody should be, or how everybody set a standard of how we're supposed to be in our 20s. And I think what you said is completely right.
Yeah.
It just depends on your community, and you must have a self and have your own opinion towards everything. I believe that too. Yeah.
That's a good question. Next question. When is a good time in your 20s to basically fully know what you want to do in your life? Pursuing something that you are developing to do for the rest of your life.
I feel like I grew up with the parents that always already think everything for me.
Yeah.
Thought of every single little thing for me, but I feel like a lot of time parents could be over controlling. And I feel like sometimes it limits something to someone to figure out who they are. You know what I mean?
So we talked about this a few days ago.
Yeah.
I felt like the NBA example really hits for me, because if somebody randomly wakes up at the age of 24 and be like, you know what, I'm going to dedicate the rest of my life to being a professional basketball player, and I'm going to
so you're talking about profession wise?
Okay, yeah.
So you're talking about what age?
Well, no, this is just an example. Let's say you're 23, and you wake up one day and you're like, I want to be a professional basketball player. That's what I'm going to dedicate my life to. And that's what I'm going to pursue. And I want to be in the NBA.
Yeah.
You do research and you realize that usually, the NBA, they're drafting people straight out of college.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay,
it's a requirement.
It's a requirement. Yeah. So it's just okay, where if he thought about pursuing that years ago, when he was 18, 19, it would have been more of a chance for him to actually pursue that dream. So for certain cases, don't you think when it comes to your dreams and what you want to do for your life, you do have a time limit?
I personally don't think so. I feel like time limit is basically saying giving up on yourself. Giving up on yourself where oh, I'm already around this age. It's too late for me to go back. I think everybody have their own journey at the end.
Yeah.
It's never too late. At the end, if you made it out there, you made it out there. That's what it is. No matter, I don't think there's any of course there is a big disadvantage. You're not gonna get drafted immediately as easy as others, but at the end it's your own life.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't personally think that age, or there should be a textbook what age that you should have it all figured out, because at the end we all figuring thing out. figuring things out.
Yeah.
I think even the people that even the people you think that has it all figured out, they still have something that's missing, you know what I mean? That feels like missing, that they have to figure out, because none of us really truly know where we go and where we're gonna land at the end. Life is like really unpredictable, and just follow along with you. I feel like following along with your journey is the way to go, instead of like thinking like, oh, let me set a goal of, you know what, by the age of 25 I have to have what figured out.
Yeah.
I feel like you just have to follow your journey personally. Like, you know what I mean? You have to figure out what you have right now, what you can do and what you can't do. And then that's when you finally will be able to do something about it. Because I feel like everything has disadvantage no matter what you do, and everything has its own advantage too.
Yeah.
So we cannot ignore that there's also advantage towards that. Don't just straight up we shouldn't just focus on disadvantage when we are trying to do something, you know what I mean? Like,
that's basically the same thing as
for example, you were saying like basketball player, if a 24 years old trying to go into the NBA, will he still be able to make it? It all depends on him, you know what I mean? Will he focus on thinking about, I'm 24, too late for me? Or will he think about, okay, I'm 24, and if I make it out there, I'm the first person to ever do it, type thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
And
it's all about your mindset.
Yeah.
It's like, what is going to control you?
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure there's people that's 24, because 24 is not old. There's people that are 24 drafted in G League, for sure.
I was just
from the G League, yeah.
I was just giving an example.
There's a way older player that got drafted from the G League because they play good. At the same time, you have to figure out if that's exactly what you want to do. A lot of people have doubts in everything. I feel like that's the question you were asking. You know, what age should we be figuring out what we want and who we are, instead of like, figure it out? Because I feel like when you do something and you don't know if that's what you want, then it's a big setback. It's like every time you try to make a move towards that goal, it holds you back for a sec because you have doubt if that's what you want.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's very, very important to, before you do anything, just figure out what you want, you know what I mean?
True.
You don't have to like pursue anything, but just figure out what you want first. And you will go farther than like, starting early and still don't know if that's the right thing for you to do personally. Yeah, I think.
So what advice could you give to someone in their 20s that are they're not necessarily holding themselves back, but the people in their life are holding them back? Meaning that, like, for example, like their parents want them to be a doctor, or their friend group is not accepting what they're doing, or like those type of examples. Like, what advice could you give someone that's in those type of situations?
Well, of course, I'm still 20, so I don't think like there's any advice that I could give anybody because I'm still living through it.
Well,
so,
of course.
but
Well,
of course,
let me
what?
rephrase it. What would you do in those situations?
What would I do in those situations? It's very, very. I feel like when it comes to like situations like that, families and friends, those are the real, those are the real energy or support that is like boosting you to do one thing. I feel like even if you do one thing by yourself, it's sometimes not enough because if you try to, I feel like when you're trying to pursue something and people around you aren't like but not agreeing with what you do overall, it's definitely it's also a holdback too. Like it's the same concept as what I said earlier of like it's kind of like almost a similar concept of holding you back because you have doubt, and also when your parents hold you back or when your friends hold you back because they have doubt. So here we are, Shashing yourself.
Hello guys, hope you guys enjoyed our very first podcast. Here is some clips of us going to our favorite restaurant, Big Chicken.
Doing my root beer, a lot of bubbles, let it cool down. sauce is like a must if you want to try the fries. As you can see, their fries is like really thin, so it's always crispy. Dip a little in the shack sauce. And the mac and cheese inside, that's mine. And then Bernie's got the melted cheese and fried onions.
We really hope you guys found some value in this video. If you guys are new, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye!
He was beating my ass. Although I really wanted to win. I started catching up. But he's still one sad face though.